All right, Andrew. Okay, I was gonna say let's give Andrew just a second, but I see we're now live on YouTube. Okay.
All right, so thank you. And if we could have, I will now call this meeting to order of Thursday, May the 13th. And if we could have the roll call, please.
Ms. Coleman,
Present.
Ms. Bailey,
Here.
Dr. Cable,
Here.
Mr. Cox, Dr. Davis, Ms. Grubb, Dr. Henderson, Ms. Lawson,
Present.
Ms. Talbert,
Present.
Ms. Merricks, Mr. Powell. Mr. Powell. He's here. I see his phone number. So
All right.
You have 6 present, which does represent a quorum.
Okay, thank you. And again, welcome to all of you. And we have the certification of a virtual meeting. I think everybody can see that, or Andrew shows that, or whatever it is we do. And I now have the PDF on my phone, so I'm really, all right. Introductions and announcements. Are we?
Yes, we do have a couple this meeting. Good morning. We want to welcome a brand new team member and a brand new initiative that we are doing. The Student Engagement Initiative. Ms. Livonia Malvo is heading that up for us. For just a quick elevator speech for what is student engagement. We are, as you know, between the Field Outreach Services Unit and the Public Information and Communications Unit, they are doing a phenomenal job of outreach. A lot of our outreach is concentrated, and our dollars are concentrated in our Gear Up schools, and those same schools for the majority receive our state-supported dollars. What we are looking at is a way to be able to expand our outreach beyond just those targeted schools statewide to include audiences, including returning adults, those people that are in reentry. So again, how do we use the digital space primarily? Not saying that we'll never do anything in person with student engagement, but one part of COVID Lemonade is that it has taught us the effectiveness of the digital space, the budget consciousness of the digital space, and our ability to partner and bring experts to students, students and parents to experts, using a digital space with significantly fewer dollars. So Ms. Malvo is going to be heading that up for us. She started as a contractor with us in the LFOS unit and really helped to start us with our student networking groups, the nursing group, which grew from that to the accounting group, which grew from that to the engineering group. So she will be, Ms. Lawson, she'll be getting with you and Ms. Grubb on ways we can facilitate career planning information, as well as Ms. Bailey, to students in K-12. In other words, what is a way we could get that information to you that wouldn't be like, you're driving me crazy? This would be the easiest way to get that to my students and parents. Our post-secondary partners like Dr. Cable, Ms. Merricks, Mr. Powell, she'll be networking with you on, you know, how can we get this information to your students? Already a great partnership with BRCC that just launched last night that she was a part of. So we're very excited. We feel like this is a direction the feds are going in as well. So this is our preemptive step in saying, let's go here, let's get this proof of concept broadened, and let's be ahead of the curve. So Ms. Malvo, can you say a few words about yourself?
Most definitely. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Boutte, for that fine elevator skill of just what student engagement is. Ms. Coleman, I just look forward to working with you and your board, and I've been excited about the work that we've already begun. I'm so pleased to see that the LOSFA Advisory Board knows how to engage. As I look at those of you who are using your virtual backgrounds, that's engagement. Mine, as you can see, intentionally, the butterfly represents metamorphosis, represents new life, the change that can come. And I just thank you all just for the opportunity to welcome me into this LOSFA family. As Dr. Boutte shared, no stranger to the family. I've had the privilege of contracting since 2019, working with Dr. Cobb and her awesome LFOS staff, and just looking forward to just further extending the work that's being done at LOSFA as a whole.
Well, thank you, welcome, and we do appreciate the LOSFA staff, in my opinion, is one of the hardest working staffs that I have ever come across, and what you do for the students and your clients and the citizens of Louisiana. So I thank you all. So now, and anything else? We have another announcement.
Yes, we do. And congratulations to Ms. Grubb on her retirement. And thank you so much for your service and your valuable perspective that you've provided to LOSFA. Ms. Grubb, would you like to say a few words?
I don't think she's on the call this morning.
No,
She's not on.
She has like, this is honors day or something that she had.
Okay. Well,
she was, yes. So,
and we don't know that Ms. Grubb will be able to join us in June. So we definitely wish her the best in this new chapter of her life. And this perspective that we get from Ms. Lawson and Ms. Grubb is invaluable. And we really appreciate all of her service. So we will definitely send her something, a token of our appreciation. Rhonda is already on that. So that concludes, unless Ms. Brown, you're on the phone today.
I am.
All right. Have we already announced about your precious baby? Your grandbaby?
I don't think we did. I'm not sure.
Well, we should.
But I am a new grandma to now a 2-month-old Zoe Ann, and she is gorgeous. But
next time we'll have a picture.
Yes,
I'm sure Ms. Brown has no shortage of pictures.
No, I don't. We got some this morning. So
all right. So next meeting,
shortage.
We will have a little montage. And Robin, I think you have a new arrival in your brother's household.
Yes, my brother just had his first on Saturday night. William Daniel was born actually Friday night, 1:20 a.m., 7 pounds, 5 ounces, and he is perfect. He is just beautiful. And
so
I can't wait to go meet him. He's in Dallas.
Pictures from Robin and pictures from Alice, and we have some graduation announcements. One we're not going to do today because that person needs to be on the call when we recognize them. But Ms. Brown, you have an announcement, and Ms. Brittivo, you have an announcement for graduations in your families.
I do. I have a new LSU graduate. My daughter, Jewel Williams, graduated from the College of Agriculture with food and nutrition. And she's going to, in the fall, attend Fran U and get her Master's of Science and the Dietetic Internship Program. Wow. So we're very proud of her.
So, and my son, I'm sorry, Alice, are you finished?
Yeah, sure. I'm
okay.
done.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
My son Jacob is graduating from high school, so he's graduating from Denham Springs High School tomorrow night. Summa, I can't say it. Summa cum laude. So he has like a 3.75 or above GPA. Honors graduate, and he has chosen not to go to college right now, much to Mom's disappointment. But he is going to be in an apprenticeship. He's actually been working in an apprenticeship since last April with a plumber, and that's what he has decided he wants to do. So his college is master plumbing. So
and we will all want to know him.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
Most definitely.
And you'll make more money than I will.
Well, he's in the apprenticeship, and his boss actually goes to church with us, and his boss goes into college and career classes like in 8th grade, the Journeys to Career classes, and he gives speeches. And he says one of the things he asked them is how many people in the room would want to become a plumber when they grow up. And he said nobody raises their hands. But he says for every 4 plumbers that retire in America, there's only 1 plumber replacing them. So, and he's already signed up with the apprenticeship through the Workforce Commission. So the
That
Workforce
is
Commission,
fantastic. That is
yeah,
a path, Rhonda.
help pays his
And,
salary. So
we're excited. That is a
Yeah.
career path that your son has chosen, and it is just as much a part of college access as
Oh,
all of the
absolutely.
other paths that we talk about. So good for him. So,
Yes.
and that will give us insight, right, into ways that we can engage students who are most interested in the apprenticeship and trade crafts. So
Yeah.
that's all great perspectives to be able to have. So did I miss anybody else with special announcements?
I think
Besides the person that,
Shauna, you
yes,
have a
Shauna, that's right. Sorry. Come on, Shauna, you got one too.
My daughter is a senior as well, and she graduates next Wednesday from Wood High with the Great Scholars Program, and she's decided to CC.
Fantastic. We're so
Yes.
proud. So see, as they work hard, and then they work hard as parents and grandparents and aunts too. So congrats to all
Yes.
of the team.
Definitely.
And I think that does it, Miss.
That's great. No, that, you know,
I have one also.
all right.
Oh, wait, okay. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Miss
my
Norman.
husband is graduating this Friday with a bachelor's in psychology, bachelor's of
Amazing.
science in psychology from Southern University, Baton Rouge.
Yay!
All right. All right. Pretty exciting. Maybe we can just
Lots
skip
of
to
great
the end.
news.
That's right. Lots of great news. Nice way to begin a Thursday, and hopefully it'll carry us all through next week. All right. Anything else? Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you, Suwan, for sharing all of that. Next are the minutes. I hope you've all had a chance to review them. And if so, I need a motion, and don't forget to make sure that we know for the minutes who is making the motion. So I need a motion to approve the minutes, please.
This is Barry. I give a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Barry. Is there a second?
This is Charmaine. I second.
All right. Thank you, Charmaine. Thank you, Barry. All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Thank you. Any public comments this morning?
No, ma'am.
They miss their chance, don't they? If they only knew. Okay, and then next we go to, thank you, Andrew, to program updates. And are we?
Terry.
Terry.
All righty, good morning.
Good morning.
We've got some exciting news coming out of START programs. I'm going to go over a few things that we've been working on. First of all, for ABLE, on May the 1st, the new hierarchy was created online for and as well as paper applications for the administrators for ABLE accounts. What this does, it makes it easier for someone to become an administrator of an ABLE account without having legal documentation to name them. They basically say that they are the highest on the hierarchy to represent the disabled person. So this has been very well received, allows loved ones or living facilities to open on behalf of the client. So that's been very well received. Also, May is 529 month, and we've got a contest opportunities going on within the agency that is through a series of social media activities that the parents and the children are able to do these social activities through social media. And each time that they submit one, then that puts them on the prize drawing for a $529 scholarship to be deposited to a START account. So that's been very well received. We've been getting some very good submissions for that. There's also 5 $29 prizes with that campaign as well. So they've been very excited about that, and we have received submissions. We also, in April, we partnered with UPromise. And for those of you that aren't familiar with UPromise is a cashback opportunity where if you have a credit card or through them, or if you use an online to order online and things of that nature, you get a cash back reward on your purchases, which can go towards your START account or towards your K-12 account. This has also been extremely well received. We started on April the 6th, and UPromise reported to us that there was a 300% increase in new members from Louisiana since April the 6th. So we were very excited about that. Certainly gives our account owners an additional vehicle to be able to save for their child's education, be it K-12 or higher education. Also, on April the 20th, myself, as well as Julie Lafretti with UPromise, went on Fox 8 News out of New Orleans to promote the UPromise initiative, as well as we got to mention some things about START that perhaps some wouldn't know. And next week, through WVLA here in Baton Rouge, which is Channel 33 or Fox 44, we'll be doing the same thing. So they're lining that up now. Rhonda, can you go back to our balances? Thank you. As you'll notice, from end of March, we're showing in START 71,022 active accounts with account balances of $1,279,368,125.11. START K-12, 1,511 accounts with a balance of $8,241,779.09. And ABLE with 442 accounts, balances of $2,337,662.69. And then of course, you'll see the total at 72,975 in active accounts and $1,289,947,566.89. So we've been very busy in START programs and are very excited about the opportunities for the account owners. And that's all I have today.
That's great, just today. Any questions, comments? Thank you, Terry. All right, next we move to the public information and communication updates. Ms. Holm?
Good morning. I am Ebony Holmes, and I'm going to be presenting PICS updates on behalf of Brittany Francis. And so, Rhonda, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. Scott Burke is our post-secondary liaison, and he has continued to represent LOSFA, even though we've been virtually. He's been at virtual preview days, virtual college fairs. Recently, he participated in a virtual open house with UNO, and he also did a virtual college fair with the UL system, where they partnered with the 100 Black Men organization. Next slide. Thank you. In March, PICS staff hosted a TOPS processing webinar. This occurred over 2 days. And the way that this webinar came about is that after we did our annual professional school counselor webinars in the fall, we actually polled the counselors to find out if there would be any interest in having something like this. And the overwhelming majority of the responses came back and said, yes, please host something of this nature. So we went to work, pulled together the TOPS processing webinars, and this was like an all hands on deck situation, and PIC did a phenomenal job of hosting these TOPS processing webinars. We had breakout sessions that staff facilitated, and we got some really amazing feedback from the counselors, which you'll see up on the screen there. We also partnered with the Louisiana Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators to host Going for the Gold. This was also a 2-day event, and both Scott Burke and myself facilitated breakout rooms for LOSFA. Next slide. And on the screen, you'll see the messaging that we sent out to our college TOPS recipients for Signalvine, which is our text messaging platform. And so basically this graphic that you see was kind of twofold: to wish them well as they go about taking their exams, and more importantly, to remind them to use their Student Hub account to view their current top status. And more importantly, we usually get lots of questions after the semester is over about, hey, what's my top status? So we were being a little proactive here in giving them that information and reminding them that that information is right at their fingertips with the Student Hub. Next. And last but not least, the fly tour returned, except this time, of course, it was virtual. And the theme for the fly tour was Meet Your Match, the virtual edition. And we were able to reach 5,100 students through Zoom, and then an additional 687 students through YouTube. And so just as a comparison, when we did our spring 2020 fly tour, we actually reached 1,943 students, and the spring 2020 fly tour was an in-person event. So that's just a comparison for you. And this was done virtually. Everyone individually was from home. And so it was just a really great event. And it was a tremendous amount of work that went into it, but it went over well. We had a number of post-secondary institutions that joined in: Southern Baton Rouge, Southern Shreveport, LSU, Northwestern, Delgado, Louisiana Tech. And Dr. Maggio actually showed up to speak directly to those students that selected Northwestern as their breakout room. So that was really cool for those students to get to interact directly with the college president. And then our LOSFA college advocates did an awesome job of keeping the students engaged since it was virtual. And Domino's graciously provided gift cards to us that we sent to the students and the classrooms that were the most engaged throughout the tour. And that concludes my update.
Thank you. I have just a question. I'm sure there's been some discussion since you reach so many more students. What's the talk? What's the feeling? How might you be? Is there a way to continue doing the virtual? I mean, I don't know. It's just astounding the number of students that you reached.
It is. We were really happy with that figure. And so going forward, what we'll look at is kind of gauging things before the next fly tour. And we're absolutely open to having some sort of a hybrid model where we do in-person or virtual, both basically, as we kind of get closer to that point. But I think it was amazing that we were able to reach so many students virtually. And so a hybrid would be an excellent solution to that, to kind of reach those individuals that may not be able to attend in person.
Yeah, the logistics of that are just mind-boggling to me. To
Yes.
do a hybrid, because I think we're hopeful that most of the students will be back in school.
Yeah.
Next year, and I don't know how you as staff can manage to string yourself out that far, but the numbers are astounding, and congratulations, because I know I attended one thing. It was a lot of fun, but it reached 1/4 of the students that you did this time. So thank you all.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments?
Well, Ms. Coleman, that's one of the reasons that we're expanding outreach, that partnership with Ms. Malvo and PICCOMS and student engagement, is to look at, because again, when we do these things, USDOE just did one as a financial aid boot camp. That was a 2-day, they repeated it. They had various times, but when you're engaging students virtually like this in the evening, you're also engaging their parents.
Yeah.
And this was something before that we don't have a funding stream, right, to put parents on buses and take them to institutions, but to be able to have that type of big group and then engaging smaller groups is what we are looking at in this kind of new phase or expansion of outreach using the digital space. So Ms. Malvo's unit and Dr. Francis's unit will be both working hand in hand on expanding this.
Thank you. It will certainly be interesting to see it as in the K-12 setting, students are back in school, how much interest and attendance they're going to want to do in the evenings. I have no idea.
Yes, and the networking groups right now in the post-secondary sector are already happening in the evening. And I think BRCC had one last night that Ms. Malvo was asked to attend because they had a lot of synergy between them, and they kind of set in on our networking groups. So again, those folks, it's better for them in the evening.
Yeah.
And just we're looking at apps that go along with Zoom to be able to engage individuals even further in dialogue and discussion. And when we've used those in the networking groups, the feedback we've gotten is that's when students were like, hey, I'm really loving this.
That's
and I know
great.
many of you, you may have seen the ads now on television running for master classes. Again, same concept. You might not have been able to engage with that person in person, but here we're bringing those resources to you. So we think there's a lot of untapped potential here that we'll be exploring logistically ways to do that.
That's great. And just one more question. Is there any way that you're possibly to be able to tap some of the new federal dollars coming into the state for this?
We've asked for it to be able to assist us with this. I don't know if we'll be successful in getting it, but we have made the ask of regents and using these proof of concepts to say, hey, when you think about where you were last year and how you basically quadrupled your audience, but you did not quadruple your budget, you gotta look at that as a way to be able to reach more students with significantly fewer dollars. And again, not just the K-12 sector, but the post-secondary as well as returning adults.
That's great. I appreciate your foresight on all of this. Any other questions or comments for Ebony? Thank you. And we move on to the LOSFA Field Outreach Services update. Dr. Cobb.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I am at the Capitol today. So we have, so I'm at the Capitol with the students. So today is Louisiana Gear Up Day at the Capitol. So I'm here with students with, our outreach staff, our comm staff, and students from Broadmoor High School and from Tara High School. So I'm, I guess broadcasting live from here with this update. So definitely want to share that. And in this update, I'll go over our professional development that we did a month ago, our partnership update with Workforce Wednesdays, our APR results. We'll talk about one of our students who was featured in Governor Edwards' State of the State address, our ACT prep through Mastery Prep, our newest newsletter, and update on the Fafsa Now pilot. Next slide, please. So we were very fortunate to have NCEP, which is the National Council for Community and Educational Partnerships, to facilitate professional development for our Gear Up staff in our schools and for our students. It was a 3-day workshop that was centered around Excel, Prove, and Mobilize, which the national movement is actually centered around as well. And that gives you a little sneak peek in how that actually worked. And I will tell you this, on that 3rd day, which was that Wednesday, when our students actually participated in the event, this was not, per se planned, but I think that it was definitely a preview into getting the students excited about the fly tour the very next week, because we used the same concept in terms of classrooms, bringing them in to actually engage in the actual presentation. So on that Mobilize Day, what we actually did was we had our middle schoolers host a session and our high schoolers host a session, and they did a phenomenal job in making sure that both the adults were engaged and they actually learned things about who's in their network and how to utilize their network to access resources. And that's what the middle schoolers did. And with the high schoolers, they talked about, persistence, not giving up, and strategies that they used, and famous people or people in their community who persisted to actually achieve. And they were very honest and they were very professional in actually facilitating these sessions. So I'm very proud of them on that third day, and very, very, very proud of our post-secondary partners who actually led the way on the first 2 days, the Excel and the Prove days, which was really awesome. So you'll see there some of the topics from the professional development. Now, also another thing that we've engaged, another initiative that we've engaged in is Workforce Wednesdays, which has been really great. It's a partnership with Louisiana Delta and Louisiana Tech. And we use the same concept of bringing in classroom of students to actually meet with professionals, meet with organizations who are actually doing the work or who are providing the jobs in their communities. And when I tell you those students were really engaged to talk to workers, to actually understand what their earning potential was that is specific to their community. Definitely want to acknowledge Louisiana Delta for making sure that the partners that they have in place that have the jobs in their areas were actually on to provide that information to students. And they were very intentional by connecting those programs of study at their institutions and highlighting their partnerships with Louisiana Tech to actually get it done. So very excited about that. Next slide, please. Okay, so for the APR update, now this is just a few of the highlights from what we shared with the federal government as a part of our grant. What we have to do is we have to actually share, how are we reaching students? And we were very pleased that even though 1920, which we were reporting on, was a COVID, year, or we were impacted by the COVID pandemic, we were still able to reach 72%, which was 9,000 of our 12,000 Gear Up students in at least one or more activity. As a matter of fact, we averaged 10 hours of college access activities per student. So still being able to get it done with our students, even with the transition or the impact of COVID. And as you can see, these are some of the outcomes, notable outcomes from the work that was done as it relates to our Gear Up grant. So very pleased with that. On the right side of the slide, definitely proud of Brandon Jones. He is a former Gear Up student. He recently graduated this past Friday. He was actually highlighted or featured by Governor Edwards in his State of the State address. And I want to say that when he actually ran for Gear Up officer in 2013, he basically said that he wanted to be a mentor, or he wanted to be hope for other young men coming up who wanted to go to college. And here it is, 2021. He was in high school and he was running to be a Gear Up officer. Here it is in 2021. He is just that. So he was featured. So very proud of Brandon as he just transitioned from LSU into his new chapter. Next slide, please. As we reported earlier, ACT prep is so very important. And so this is just a look into the ACT prep we did with Mastery Prep. And I just want to say that, I was really pleased with the way this went, because the students gave us some really great feedback by instructor. So we knew basically, according to this feedback or these scores you see on the screen by instructor, how well, the instruction or the course actually went. So definitely more to come once we actually get their coursework back. And on the right side, our latest newsletter that we're actually transmitting directly to students. This newsletter is actually going out to 11th and 12th grade students. This is the results of that. So we're very excited about this newsletter. we actually asked, you know, the students, actually our, one of our comms team, Trey Square, you know, he was very intentional by saying, let's ask the students, you know, which topics do they want to hear more about? And as you can see here, it's almost about equally weighed in terms of what they wanted to know more about. So when we release our next edition, which will come out soon, we'll make sure that this information is actually touched with our students. And next slide. Finally, just a little update on the FAFSA campaign. We are, next slide, Rhonda. We are #2 in the nation right now. And so really a shout out to Barry. I know that she's doing a lot of on the ground work with the department. A shout out to, you know, really all of the partners around the state, along with our team, who is actually getting it done in terms of assistance with the FAFSA. As you can see with the FAFSA pilot schools, we still, the pilot schools are still exceeding, about 60% of them are exceeding the national rate of FAFSA completion. So I'm really proud of them, and proud of them actually stepping forward and being a part of this pilot. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, as usual. You did a magnificent job. Who's #1? Who is the #1 in the FAFSA?
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah. But we still have time. The competition is still on, and Tennessee has an earlier FAFSA priority deadline than Louisiana. That is one of the things that motivated the commissioner to say we needed to move our deadline up. Not just that, but it's also better for students. The earlier you file, the earlier you get notification about the financial aid you're eligible for, and the more time you have to correct any errors. So definitely best for students. And just more time. It's just, you know, it's a graduation requirement, but that doesn't mean you wait until the end of May to complete it. You know, that doesn't bode well for the kid with financial aid. And so we really do thank Dr. Cobb for all of the pioneering work that she's doing, pioneering work that you saw Ms. Holmes sharing. And so it's those thoughts, and we have to take those proofs of concept, right, that we know work. And let's say Workforce Wednesdays is Louisiana Tech, right? But we all know that we need Workforce Wednesdays, not just on Wednesdays, and we need it not just in the Gear Up or the targeted state-supported schools. We need that statewide. We need that for adults. Let's say if Foster Scholars makes it through the legislature, which we feel it will, who's going to be connecting, right? Yeah. Those folks. We've got the Completers Fund. Who's going to be connecting them to this is why you would want to do this, and this is what happens after you graduate. So a lot of exciting things that these folks have paved the way for, that now we look at how can we do a proof of concept to do this on a broader scale, which we do think positions us for more federal dollars as we're watching what's happening with promise legislation and earn to learn legislation nationwide.
Thank you. Any questions, further questions before we move on here? All right, if not, let's move to scholarship and grants. Ms. Smith?
Paula, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. For the fall of 2020, we had 4 schools with 7 recipients billing for $6,445.46. We had 4 schools billing for the spring of 2021 with 7 recipients in the amount of $5,817.36. For the Go Grant allocation, we have a total of $64,877.17 remaining. Of that amount remaining, we have $54,127 to be processed tonight. There's another additional $10,750,000 $10,000 of that is for Bossier Parish Community College, and they have said they will submit their billings real soon. And $750 was a refund from Fletcher, and they have also agreed to bill for that amount. Okay, Rhonda. For John R. Justice, we have 6 applications received for the public defenders, for 5 awards available. For the prosecutors, we have 15 applications for 10 slots. We have extended that application deadline to May 31st so that we can get more applicants in. For the Youth Challenge grant update, we have 15 recipients at 10 schools in the amount of $29,872.66 for the fall, and for the spring, we have 8 recipients at 6 schools in the amount of $12,328.59. Are there any questions?
Any questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is the TOPS update.
Yeah, we spent 99.9% of the original TOPS allocation. That's a lot. When I prepared this report last week, we had $206,000 left. We now have $37,000 left. For all practical purposes, TOPS is out of money until we get additional funding from the supplemental budget, but there is $1.6 million additional funding for TOPS in the supplemental budget, and that will be enough to get us through the year, and that includes summer school. So TOPS is fine. We will start to hold payments this week, but it should only be for 3 weeks max, and the amount should not be significant since all the schools have billed for the spring. So the only invoices we're getting right now are late billings, outliers for exceptions, for students whose TOPS eligibility might have been determined a little late. There's probably 100 other reasons that we're still getting late billings, but those are the 2 I can think of right now. And also House Bill 1 has TOPS fully funded for next year. So so TOPS is in good shape for next year as well.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Any questions? All right, and moving on, then we'll do the the legislative update.
Hi, so we have had a number of bills really going through the process this year. We've got, let's see, HB 42 is the Students' Bill of Rights. That bill is actually scheduled to be heard this morning in Senate Education.
He is a good man, you know. I say he's a good man.
HB 563 was Garofalo's bill that had to do with the privacy law, and it got folded into another bill in the House committee. But when it was on the floor, that information was cut out of the bill. So we're watching it pretty closely to see what happens on the Senate side. It's not yet scheduled to be heard in Senate Education. So we don't know it. I would think it would be next week because we're coming up on the end of the session. Representative Glover's bill, which adds African American studies to the TOPS core curriculum requirements, passed the House floor yesterday. So it should be heading over to the Senate side within the next week or so. Senator Foyle's bill is pending a hearing in House Ways and Means. It comes with a price tag to it. That bill is going to allow a tax deduction for START K-12, similar to what we have for START. As you know, START allows for $2,400 for single filers, $4,800 for joint filers. For this START K-12, it will allow $1,200 and $1,400 respectively. Senator Fields' bill, which makes some changes to TOPS, passed House Ed last night at about 7:15. It adds the July ACT without a penalty, or with a penalty, excuse me. It changes references to regional accrediting agency to institutional accrediting agency. That change is to comply with federal regulation changes. It does not change the accrediting bodies, but the Department of Education changed the name of the accrediting agencies because it didn't make sense anymore to have a regional accrediting agency in light of the distance learning that goes on through the internet these days. So they changed everybody is an institutional accrediting agency unless they are a specific subject matter accrediting agency. SB 99 also extends a no penalty ACT deadline to September 30th if the student can document circumstances beyond his control that are attributable to the administration of the test. So this would cover instances that have to do with COVID when test sites are closed. It would also cover flooding of a test site or other things that are specific to if ACT has to cancel a test. That would cover that. This bill also allows the administering agency to grant exceptions to the requirement that students begin a home study program no later than the beginning of 11th grade. We have had a couple of students who had circumstances that were beyond their control. One of them was diagnosed with cancer in her junior year and had to be taken out of school on the recommendation of the doctor. We had to tell that student that she was not eligible for TOPS because she started home study too late. This would take care of that, and these type of exceptions would come to you as exceptional circumstances, and then they would go to the Board of Regents. Finally, Senate Bill 148, which creates the MJ Foster Promise Program, passed House Education yesterday. It is not yet scheduled for debate on the House floor. But that is the list of all the legislation that we are following that will affect the administration of LOSFA's programs. Does anybody have any questions?
Robin, can you remind me about the MJ Foster program?
Okay, this is a program for students. Originally, the bill provided that the students must be 25 years old or older. Now it is students 21 or older. The bill provides that the programs of study eligible will be limited to 5 industry sectors as determined by an advisory council that is set forth in the bill. That advisory council consists of the Board of Regents, the Workforce Investment Council, the Workforce Commission, Department of Revenue, the president of the LCTCS system, chancellors of LSUE and Southern Shreveport, and the superintendent of education. It will provide grants of up to $3,200 per year or a prorated amount if the student is attending part-time to attend shorter term training programs. So this bill is essentially to allow those students, those older students, to be able to go to school and get some sort of financial aid so that they can complete a degree and get into the workforce. The maximum allowable under this program is $6,400. Is that good?
Now just tell, what are they, that's fine. That's very good. Thank you. Very helpful. What, and I didn't look it up. What's the projected fiscal note on that?
It is capped right now at $10.5 million.
Okay.
They had an amendment which did add the proprietary schools. Originally, the bill was only for public 2 years. They added proprietary schools with a maximum dollar allowance for those proprietary schools of $500,000.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. And I would also like to say, do you have anything else?
No, ma'am, that's it.
there was one, and I know how hard, I know that the staff was there and you all were there, were working. It was interesting to see former Senator Reiser, now Representative Reiser, who was going to take TOPS away from the schools if they didn't comply on the sexual harassment things. And luckily, I was wondering how that was going to work because I just didn't quite see, since the schools don't get the money, but the students do. But I know you worked behind that to explain that to him. And now it's through the bonding process that they would be penalized.
Yes, exactly. And that was on my list to note that. They did take TOPS out of that bill, and now they cannot take on any indebtedness if it has to go through the state bond commission. That is the penalty now.
What I found, TOPS has been since the 1998s, and people still think somehow we're going to penalize the schools by taking away TOPS dollars, but it's really the students who earn it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so anyway, so I appreciate that. And I know that y'all worked hard to get Representative Reiser to make those changes to understand that. Any other questions or comments on the legislative update? Thank you, Robin. All right, next we have, we go to old business.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I was looking on my printed one. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. You can advance it, Rhonda. Okay, great. We're just bringing you up to speed. A lot of this has been covered, but one of the things that we are doing with the commissioner, and we give you the parts of the commissioner's monthly update as the executive director's update minus the program statistics. So we are helping her to keep track of what we're doing with our virtual assistants and our virtual office hours. This is definitely something that we are going to keep even after COVID and things have gone back to their new normal. We have also added the federal FSA office hours because we've learned through the financial aid boot camp that FSA put on that they are open 7 days a week for line by line FAFSA assistance. So we are cross promoting that, which was of a great interest to the feds that we're doing that. Also cross promoted that FAFSA boot camp to the State Financial Aid Association of State Financial Aid Officers, as well as to the counselors, as well as through social media. So a lot of potential there for a great partnership with the feds. We've also started to let the commissioner know about the professional development that we either attend or that we actually sponsor. And Dr. Cobb showed you some of what has been done today with the Gear Up in state supported schools. Ms. Holmes showed you what has been done with the counselors statewide. Next slide. We also put items and articles of interest. This is one where we are looking at what are students saying about ways that they finance their college. This also goes into something Dr. Cobb talked about, which what are students concerned about and what do they want to know more about? This helps inform us on what things we ought to be using as topics for engagement. So here you see just a synopsis of that. We're putting those in LOSFA takeaways for the high points. Next, Rhonda. Okay, that's the FSA boot camp that we've covered. All right, and that's it. We do want to take one small moment to tell you about I think we've sent you earlier, the Earn to Learn legislation and that concept or that concept that started in Arizona. That has now been introduced as federal legislation. Again, to recap, Earn to Learn is the concept where the individual students, regardless of the age, those students who are needy would deposit $500 for the year in a 529 account. When that student does that and completes financial literacy training, which Arizona has actually done some things online, and LOSFA also has some resources, that student's $500 is matched on an 8-to-1 basis. 4-to-1 using state dollars and 4-to-1 using philanthropic dollars. If this passes Congress, those would be federal dollars. the retention rates, this is accompanied by those students that are receiving that money, put their own skin in the game, also have significant support services and business and industry wraparound services offered to them at the participating schools. The Pell retention rates for this program are phenomenal, like 80 and 90%. That is nothing like anything we are seeing. So we continue to provide this information to the commissioner, asking whether Louisiana wants to be a part of the Earn to Learn project, but know that that made Yahoo this morning, the Yahoo News, because it's moving through the pipeline federally. So just wanted to keep that on your radar screen, and we'll keep you apprised if Louisiana does decide to join that partnership. And that does it.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? All right, if not, now we'll move on to the old business. And that was on your printed agenda, and we have to approve the publication of the final rules to amend. Oh, that's, where are we here?
It's the code. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is it's not what's on the printed agenda, which was what I was looking at. So this is kind of a summary. This is better. So all we need to do after you've had a chance to review that is I need a motion to approve with a second. So a motion to approve the rulemaking, please.
This is Barry. I give the motion.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
I'll second because I'm not sure.
All right. Well, you are at the beach, so you know. All right. We've had a motion and a second to approve the rulemaking as outlined there. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? The motion to approve then is accepted. Oh, passes. All right. Next we have final rulemaking for Hurricane Laura and Hurricane Delta. And there's the summary with all the sections. And in your packet that you saw, you had all the work that it takes to actually make all these changes. I just kept thinking, well, there surely is an easier way, but probably not. Do I have a motion to approve this rulemaking, please?
This is Charmaine. I motion to approve.
Thank you, Charmaine. In a second.
This is Barry. I second.
Thank you, Barry. So it's been moved and seconded to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that is approved as well. And then we have the final rulemaking for Hurricane Zeta. And you can see all of those sections. And now I need a motion to approve this final rulemaking.
Christie, I make the motion.
I didn't catch that. I'm sure someone.
It's Christie, I make the
Oh,
motion.
thank you, Christy. And a second, please.
This is Barry. I second.
Thank you, Barry. Good job. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. The motion is approved. All right, now we move on to the new business proposed meeting dates. And there they are. And may I have a motion to approve as presented?
This is Amy. I motion to approve.
Thank you, Amy. And you're the first. We have the second then, please.
This is Barry. I second.
Good job. Thank you. And all those in favor say aye.
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 Moving on. Good. We are there. All right. New business exceptional circumstances. And I did have a question on one of those. Let me get to where it was. The one who the 2019 graduate was wondering why this high school graduate, let me see if I can have to get it to my phone. Why this was, what has happened to this person in the meantime? Because it's like a past one, and I'm sorry, I've got to flick through the phone here. There we go, to get it to the right one.
Let's see, there were two.
I think it was Matthew. It was Matthew, the one that I just was curious. I got the Rodney I understood, but Matthew, it was like his had not been canceled, and yet Rodney's was, and I was just trying to figure out the differences in the timelines there.
It's really going to depend on the reason they are canceled.
Okay.
If a student is canceled for not meeting the 24-hour requirement, they are going to be generally canceled quicker than somebody who doesn't enroll at all. The reason for that is that the post-secondary institutions report grades for students pretty much on a regular schedule. If a student doesn't enroll, there's a lag time between the end of a semester that they don't enroll and us sending out the notification of cancellation, because it's always possible that the school did not send grades. The student could have decided to go out of state for a semester, or I can't think of any other reasons off the top of my head, but for those two things, we want to give plenty of time to make sure that we're not sending out a cancellation letter for no reason.
Okay.
Basically. And that's why, and if you see there, Rodney was canceled because he didn't maintain continuous enrollment. That means he resigned.
Right.
So when a student resigns, generally the colleges will report that within a couple of weeks. But if the student doesn't enroll at all, or if they don't enroll full time, then it takes a little bit longer for programming to send out the letter.
All right, that makes sense. That's very helpful. Anybody else have any questions about any of these three exceptions? Anyone then would like to make a motion to approve these three exceptions so that the Board of Regents can then move on them? So I'll entertain a motion.
This is Christy. I make the motion.
All right, thank you, Christy. We need a second.
This is Amy, I'll second.
All right, thank you, Amy. So it's been moved and seconded to approve these recommendations for approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Good job, thank you. So it's been moved and seconded and approved. So that goes forward. All right, and now we come to public comment. Any public comment?
Andrew, ever received any public comment?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you all. All right. And I do believe then that we have one more opportunity then. I need a motion to adjourn. I need a motion
Christy,
to adjourn.
this is Christy. I make the motion.
This is Charmaine, I second.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. And so with that, the meeting is adjourned, and I thank you all for your time today and hope you have a good weekend and a good next